All righty. Okie dokie. So we are going to get started. My name is Julie. Welcome to yoga practice here through Gilda's Club of Rochester. Whether you're on the floor or whether you're using a chair, right? Do what works, leave the rest behind. Don't do any movements that feel really uncomfortable in your body. Don't do anything that hurts. And please, don't do anything that your healthcare professionals have told you not to do. Listen to your body. For the time that we're together, we're going to listen to our bodies, right? And move at our own pace. The body that you woke up with today may feel very different than the one that you woke up with yesterday or last week, right? So honor how you're feeling right now. We're going to start with some breathing practice. So you can be seated on the floor, on your mat, on a cushion, or sitting on your block, or you can be seated in a chair. You choose. All right. So find a comfortable seat. So if you're sitting in a chair or if you're sitting on the floor, you want to sit to the front of your sit bones and not tuck your tailbone underneath you. So that means you might have to move the flesh of your buttocks straight back behind you a little bit. If you're on the floor and this is challenging, sit up on a cushion or a block or whatever you might have. If you're in the chair, just make sure that you move the tissue of your back end back so that you roll forward onto the front of your sit bones. You have a little curve in your lower back that feels comfortable. Just relax your hands. You can put them on your legs, on your thighs, on your knees, whatever works. Let's roll the shoulders up, down, up, back, and down. Inhale up. Exhale, back and down. So we're just making some nice, slow shoulder circles. And let's take our time and move with our breath. Great job. Awesomely awesome. Whew. Just roll up, back and down, and then soften. So we want to press down through those sit bones nice and even and reach up through the tops of our ears. This will lengthen our spine. You're going to feel the muscles of the front and back waist hug in towards the center. That's exactly what we want. Tuck the chin just a little bit without dropping the forehead down. Just tuck the chin a little bit and maybe close your eyes for a minute. Inhale and exhale your breath. You can take a few big, deep breaths. And then just let your body breathe itself. Let your breath come back to natural and easy. Gently focus on any sensations in your body that you're feeling. That could be coolness or warmth, pressure or tingling, heaviness, lightness. Let's move our focus away from any thoughts that come in and move the focus instead to actual sensations that you're feeling anywhere in your body. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. The spine is lengthened. Hips are heavy. In our warrior practice today, we're going to focus on building courage, perseverance, self-empowerment. When you think of the term warrior, you think of battle, of moving forward towards a goal, and fighting. But the warrior poses in yoga also represent the aspect of reaching back for community, for support, for assistance, as well as moving forward. Persevere. I like to think of it like the push me, pull you from Dr. Dolittle. Reaching in one direction and also in the other, and ending up right where you are. So we are seeking balance, ease. You're also connecting with our inner wisdom and our deeper self. Self-inquiry and self-empowerment coming together. Take a moment to think about what your intention for practice is today. The reason that you turned on your Zoom and that you came to your chair or your mat. Just take a moment to focus on that. What is your intention for your practice? Well, it doesn't matter if it's big or small, or maybe you don't know. That's okay too. Okay, let's just open our eyes. We're gonna just work on a little bit of simple movement. We'll do the seated movements first, since we have folks sitting in a chair and folks sitting on the floor. So making sure that you're sitting as comfortable as possible. Again, readjust if you have to. Move the flesh of your back end back so that you're sitting towards the front of your sit bones, whether you're in a chair or whether you are seated on the floor. Okay. Fingertips out. Those of you in a chair can place them alongside your thighs or in the seat of the chair. Let's try not to lift the chin, but keep it neutral. Move the head or the skull straight back. Take a nice big in-breath. As you exhale, right ear to right shoulder. Take another breath. And inhale, head back up. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. Nice and easy. Just let the weight of your head do it. Take a breath. And you have your head back up. One more time to each side. Inhale and exhale to the right. Take another breath. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left. Breathing. And inhale, center. Awesome job. Let's just work with the shoulders a bit. Palms facing up. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, pressing down. Move with your breath. This is a gentle practice. If there's movements that your body feels like doing during practice today, go right ahead and do them. You create your yoga practice. I'm just a guide. And let's do one more with breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Very nice. Now we're going to do those side stretches. So we're going to inhale the right palm up and exhale over to the left. Hold for a breath. And inhale back up. Left arm up and exhale over to the right. Keep that chest open. One more breath. And then again, inhaling and exhaling. Breathe into your rib cage. Inhale up. Exhale over. One more on each side. Inhale up. Exhale over. Inhale up. And exhale over. And inhale up. Beautiful job. Okay, so next we're going to work on twisting. So it's real important that our spine is tall. Again, pressing through the sit bones to the front of the sit bones. Reaching up through the tops of the ears. You don't have to bring the fingertips all the way overhead, but you can if you like. Inhale up. Lift to the rib cage. And as you exhale, keeping the rib cage lifted, turn to the right. The shoulders can soften away from the ears, but the rib cage stays lifted. Breathe here. One hand behind you, one hand in front of you. Chin parallel to the earth. Long spine. Still keeping the rib cage lifted. Inhale to the front. And exhale to the other side. Lifted rib cage, softened shoulders. Tall from sit bones through the tops of the ears. And then we can go back and forth with as little or as much breath as you like. So you can inhale and exhale. You can hold for a breath here or not. Inhale and exhale. Just remembering to keep pressing down through the sit bones, lifting the rib cage away from the hips, reaching up through a tall spine, through the tops of the ears. You can rest whenever you like. If you've had enough of these, you can just stop doing them whenever you feel like it. And back to the center position. Great job, awesome. Now you can rock around your hips, especially those of you on the floor. Because I know that you can get uncomfortable sitting on the floor. You can rock around your hips a little bit. Once again, adjusting, moving the flesh back. So you're sitting to the front of your sit bones or sitting up on a little height or a little blanket or a little cushion. So this is where this block comes in handy. And again, if you don't have a block or some kind of container like a Tupperware or a tin, or if you don't have like a firm pillow or neck pillow, something that's this size, that's okay. Use it if you have it. But we're going to start using different shoulder positions, okay? So we lift the palms up. This is one shoulder position. Yes, we're going to increase this a little bit. So bring the hands down and bring the palms together. Sitting up nice and tall. You're going to inhale, lifting the palms up overhead. Now, if you like, you can clasp your fingers, but just leave your index fingers up like a steeple. If that feels good, you can do that. If not, just keep the palms together. It's whatever works for you. Try not to let the head fall forward and reach up a little bit more if you can. Notice how the belly firms. Breathe here. You're doing great. Inhale here and exhale, release down. Very good. So next we're going to take the hands. Now you can clasp the fingers or you can just put the palm of one hand against the back of the other. But whichever you choose, we're going to push the palms up towards the ceiling now. Palms up towards the ceiling. Good. Reach down to the sit bones. Keep the head nice and neutral. We don't want it to fall forward, right? Move the back of the skull back. Reach up as you press down through your sit bones. Breathe. You're doing great. You don't want to feel any tension in the neck, so bring the hands down. If you're feeling tension in the neck or shoulders, you're doing great. Stay tall. Inhale here. And exhale, release. So you'll notice when you bring the arms overhead and hold them there, the front and back of your waist hug in. It's a beautiful thing. So the next thing we're going to do is use the block. Now, if you don't have a block, you can just put your hands in the same position, like this, okay? So I'm going to use my block, and I'm going to put my hands, use my block this way, and put one hand here and one hand here. Hold the shoulders back, gently pressing on the edges, gently. Reach up. Good, beautiful. Just keep your neck relaxed. You don't have to drop the head forward. Just put the arms where they work for you. And you're just gently pressing the edges of whatever it is you're holding. It doesn't have to be a block, whatever it might be. It's not a big push. It's a gentle push. Press down into the sit bones, reach up through the tops of the ears. Take some breaths. Hug in the front and back of your waist. And on the next exhalation, bring it back down. Great job. Place that aside. Roll the shoulders. Notice how your shoulders feel. This is going to both strengthen and open up parts of the front of the chest and back and shoulders. So hopefully that feels good to you. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a wide sit. So those of you in the chair, just widen your knees and your feet out so you can stretch your inner thighs. Those of us seated will bring our legs out this way. Those of you in the chair, you don't have to unbend your knees, just widen your legs. Turn your toes out, turn your knees out. We're stretching the inner thigh. So if you're in a chair, you can feel that. Okay, those of us on the floor, we don't want to tuck our tuchus underneath us. We want to sit still to the front of our sit bones. And it's okay, I know this is our first little bend. It's okay if your knees bend. So just breathe, opening up the thighs a bit, however works for you. Again, the knees can stay bent if you're on the floor. Nice breaths here. You can bring the hands to heart center. Think about the thigh area, just feeling some gentle stretching there at the inner thigh. Your legs don't have to be that far apart. Go with whatever's comfortable for you. Beautiful. Great job. We're just going to release. So you're going to bring those legs back. So those of you in the chair, you're going to bring your knees back, the hips width apart. Those of us on the floor are going to bend our feet with our knees, right? Bend our knees with our feet on the floor. So all of us together, we're going to take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to hug our chest toward our thighs. Just a little gentle hug. So those of us on the floor, we're kind of hugging our knees, rounding our spine. Those of you in the chair are forward bending. You can, if you're in a chair, you can rest your forearms on your thighs. That's okay. Just round the spine a bit. Just gentle stretching of the lower back. And then you can bring your torso back up. Very good. If you're sitting in the chair, just sit normally. If you're on the floor, take your legs out in front of you. Okay. So we're going to do the single leg stretch. Inhaling the arms up and then exhaling using the hands to draw one knee in towards your chest. Very easy if you're seated, very easy if you're seated in a chair, a little more challenging if you're on the floor. So sitting up nice and tall, inhale your arms up. And as you exhale, bring one knee in towards your chest. Good. And then switch, put that foot down, inhale the arms up. And exhale, bring the other knee in towards your chest. Now, if you're sitting on the floor, it's a little bit different. Inhale, go from side to side, leg to leg. If you're sitting on the floor, you really want to think about staying as tall through the spine as you can. Those of you sitting in a chair, it's the same thing. You want to bring that leg to your chest, not necessarily the chest to your leg. Does that make sense? I hope so. We're just taking turns, bringing one knee in. If you're on the floor, you may find yourself like leaning back a little bit. Same thing in the chair, but it's okay. Stay as tall as you can. Inhale up. Exhale, bring the knee in. Inhale up. Exhale, bring the knee in. Woohoo. Inhale up. Exhale. Awesome. And one more. Good job. Very good. Very good. Awesome. Okay, so let's go back to those inner thighs a little bit, okay? So those of us who are on the floor, we're going to bring our feet together. And if you're on the floor and this is really hard for you, can you lay down and do this? Yes, you certainly can. So those of you on the floor have that choice. Seated, you might want to take your block and put it underneath your feet. So maybe you have a block or a bolster. So when you bring the soles of your feet together to widen your knees out, your feet are on the block if you're in the chair, okay? So it'll help you in the chair if you can lift the feet up onto something when you take this position. And again, we want to make sure that we're sitting more to the middle to the front of the sit bone, sit up nice and tall. The purpose of this is to just stretch the groins and the inner thighs. Sometimes we have to soften and let the pose unfold. So sit with your hands wherever they're comfortable. For me, with this pose is challenging. If it's challenging for you, I put my hands right on my shins. It kind of reminds me to sit up straight. Some people can place their hands at heart center. Everyone's a little different. Just think about softening or relaxing. Now, whether you're in the chair or whether you are on the floor, if you take your hands back behind you, so if you're in a chair, maybe back to the back of the chair, and you put the weight of your torso on your hands, your thighs will relax. So try that. Notice, even if it's only a little bit, when you take your hands back to support your torso, that your thighs relax. You notice that? Okay. Your inner thigh muscles and your abdominals help to balance your torso over your legs. So now I'm putting the weight of my torso on my arms and my legs are relaxing a bit. okay? So let's use our abdominals more to keep our waist upright. Walk the hands back in, keeping the thighs relaxed, but engaging the belly and the back in towards each other. And take the position again. Maybe you'll notice that it's a little bit wider, maybe. Great job, very good, very good. And then you can release this pose. Great job, everybody. Okay, so those of us on the floor are going to do pinwheel pose. It looks like this. Okay, so pinwheel pose looks like this. And if this is hard, you can sit on something underneath this front hip, okay? So for those of us on the floor, you have both feet going over to the side. So for me, it's over to the left, sitting up. Those of you in a chair, this is that big lunge, right? So if you're in the chair, actually, what I'd like you to do is this. So if you're in the chair, this is what you're doing, okay? All right. For both of us, those on the floor, widen this hip out, this front hip out. Those on the floor and those in the chair, you want to sit up as tall as you can when you take this posture. Those of us on the floor, our heart will face our front knee. Sitting up tall in the chair, I'm going to inhale here. And exhale, I'm going to begin to hinge over my front knee. Same thing with those of you in the chair. But first, lift the rib cage up away from the hips. As you slightly forward bend over your leg, kind of move and wiggle the rib cage away from the hips, and then come down. Those of you in the chair, you can put your forearms down. You can do whatever works. You don't have to bend that far forward. But for everybody, keep your toes spreading. That upper crossed leg that you have in the chair, you gotta keep the toes spreading, okay? Foot active. Those of us on the floor, you can come down lower if it works, but you don't have to. Just breathe here, notice what you're feeling. You don't have to fold all the way over your leg. You don't have to do that. Only go as far as you can go. If you have two blocks, you can put your forearms on those, or two pillows from the couch. So you're feeling a stretch in the outer hip. These are all things that we need so that we can successfully take warrior poses. We need to open the hips, open the inner thighs. Okay, inhale, exhale, whew, walk those hands in. Good job. All right, there's another side and another leg if you're seated in the chair. So let's switch sides. Awesome. Okay. Again, I call this pinwheel because the knees are at about 90-degree angles. You have to put your knees and your feet where they're comfortable. You spread the toes, keep the feet flexed. This flesh on this back left hip of mine, I'm going to kind of pull it out a bit so I can connect to the floor a little bit more. Okay. Sitting up nice and tall. My heart faces my front knee. Again, everyone kind of think about lifting the rib cage up away from the pants. So those of us on the floor, as we begin to hinge over, we can kind of wiggle our rib cage away from our hips as we come down. Those of you in the chair, just start really tall and hinge. Hinge down over that front leg. So those of you in the chair, we're using the other leg now, okay? And fold down, even if it's only a few inches, what you're doing is you're hinging at the hip so your back stays long. So we're not hunching over that front leg, right? We're just hinging a little bit at the hip. And it's okay if you can't get really close to your leg or really close to the floor. It doesn't matter. Just find a spot where you can breathe. Again, if you have blocks handy or a cushion, you can always put it. Even for those of you on a chair, you can put a folded blanket over the top of your legs and fold a little bit using the blanket. So many options to create ease so that you can hang out in the pose a little longer. Keep spreading your toes, keeping your feet strong. This is a big stretch for that outer hip. And then when you're ready, you press the hands up, unhinge up. Awesome job, beautiful. Okay, so next we have to stretch through the front of the thighs a little bit more. So those of us on the floor are going to do windshield wipers, and those in the chair are going to do lunges. Okay, so those of us on the floor, we're going to lay down, legs and feet wide, and practice 1, and then up, and then the other side. These are called windshield wipers. Please, if you're on the floor, try to hold them for an extra breath or two when you go to each side, so you can feel the stretch down the front of the hip and thigh. For those in the chair, what we want to do is this, because what you're looking for, those of you in a chair, is a stretch here to the front of the hip and thigh. So those of you that are in a chair, you can do this, okay? You're gonna do it on each side, okay? Beautiful. Everybody breathe. Very important to open up the front of the thighs and the hip flexors, because every time we sit down, we hinge at the hip, we sit down, we flex at the hip, we tighten up the front of the hips and thighs, and sometimes if they get over tight, they can pull on the lower back. So these feel good to do. If you're in a chair, please turn to the other side now. Great job. Very good. Enjoy that feeling of opening to the front of each hip and thigh. Those of you in the chair, if you pull your belly button in a little bit more, you may feel the stretch a little deeper, right? Okay. All right. Then we're going to come back to our neutral position. So those of you in the chair, you're going to come back to the center, feet on the floor. Those of us on the floor, we're on our backs, knees bent, feet on the floor. So those of us on the floor, we're going to do happy baby pose. You're going to bring your knees in towards your chest, widen your knees apart, bring your hands in the outside of your shins, and gently draw the knees in towards the armpits on each side, right and left. The bottom of your feet face the ceiling. This is called Ananda Balasana or happy baby. So those of you on the floor are going to do happy baby. Those of you in the chair, we're going to practice a wide squat. Okay, so in the chair, you're going to sit more towards the front of the chair, and you're going to widen your knees apart, knees bent. Beautiful, awesomely awesome. So nice wide position in the chair, more towards the front third of the chair. And then I'm just going to ask you to hinge and turn to 1. Beautiful, very nice. Now come back to the center and all the way up tall. Remember, before you twist, you hinge and your spine stays flat. So sitting up tall, we're going to hinge so the spine is flat. Then we're going to turn. There you go. Beautiful. And then back to center and up. Very nice. And then once again, those of you in the chair, those of you on the floor, keep breathing in your happy baby. Hinge. If you're on the floor, the purpose of happy baby, right, is to open the hips, so you want to lengthen the spine. So those of you on the floor, think about lengthening your spine in happy baby. And back to center. All right. Okay, so everybody's done a really good job here. So next thing we're going to do, those of you on the floor, you're going to bend your knees and roll over onto one side, those of you on the floor, and help yourself up to all fours on your mat. Those in the chair, come back to seated. In the chair, you're going to sit a little bit more forward, widen the feet apart, roll the shoulders back and let the belly roll forward and hang down for cow pose, arching the spine. And then exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the spine towards the back of the chair for cat pose. So if you're in the chair, inhaling for the cow pose and exhaling for the cat pose, rounding the spine and then arching the spine if you're in a chair. Those of you on the floor doing cat cow on all fours. If you're on the floor, your wrists should be slightly forward of your shoulder joints. Hands are shoulders width apart, knees under the hip joints. Just enjoy the flexion of both the shoulders and the hips, as well as the extension in cat and cow. So do a whole bunch of these and go at your own pace, okay? Just inhaling and exhaling for your cat and your cow, feeling the spine move. This completes the 6 movements of the spine for our practice today, which is great. We like to get them all in if we can. All right, and then if you're on the floor, come back to all fours. If you're in a chair, just come back to your normal seated position. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of back bending, okay? So those of us on the floor, we're going to sit our hips back, reach the hips back, reach the hands out for extended child's pose. If you're on the floor, reach the hips back. If you're in a chair, you can sit the hips back and hinge your chest over your legs, widening your hips behind you. If you're in a chair, you can even widen your legs a little further apart. Now it's going to be different for those of you in a chair than it is for those of us on the floor. So for those of you in a chair, you're going to go from your forward bend, and then you're going to bring your chest up, inhale, and then exhale, hold the back of your chair and arch your spine into a back bend. If you're in the chair, hold the back of the chair and lift your sternum, arch your spine. If you're on the floor, let's come forward to plank pose, and then exhale, lower all the way down. Beautiful. And if you're on the floor, widen your thighs a bit, tops of the feet down, slide the elbows back to free the neck. If you're on the floor, inhale, roll the shoulders back, slide the heart forward for baby cobra pose, pressing down the thigh bones and the tops of the feet. Gorgeous. Inhale here, exhale, lower. Those of you on the floor, tuck your toes under. On the next exhale, puff your belly up so you can push back to extended child's pose. So what's happening here is those of you in the chair are folding slightly forward over your legs. Then you're coming up, holding the back of the chair and arching your spine. Does that make sense? So you're hinging forward over your thighs first. Then you're lifting your torso up, rolling your shoulders back, holding the back of the chair and arching the spine. Those of us on the floor, we're doing plank pose and then little cobras. Okay, so let's just do a bunch of these flows. When we're ready, inhale forward, plank pose, or you're hinging your torso over your legs in the chair. Exhale, lower. And then set yourself up for your little baby cobra. Roll the shoulders back, slide the rib cage forward. Neck is free, pressing through the thighs and tops of the feet. Take a few breaths in this back bend. Neck is free. And then tuck the toes under. If you're on the floor, on an exhale, puff with the belly and push back to extend the child's pose. If you're in the chair, you're going to fold gently, hinging your torso over your legs. So that's the 2 different things that we're doing, okay? So do a couple more of these flows. If you're in the chair, inhale, exhale, fold. If you're in the chair, inhale, lift the torso, hold the back of the chair and arch. Gorgeous. And then exhale, fold. And then inhale, lift up and roll the shoulders back. So the deal with those of you in the chair is that the back stays flat when you hinge forward towards your legs, and flat as you come up tall. Then you arch the spine as you hold the back of your chair. For those of us on the floor, it's extended child's pose to plank, lower down, and then inhale to a little cobra, okay? Whatever works for you. Great job. Just do one more series, whether you're in the chair or on the floor, okay? I know this is a bit challenging. But you know, you can always rest. Okay, gorgeous. So just do one more series. Woohoo! Okay, we're so close here, so close for the warrior positions. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to ask you to do, if you're on the floor, go ahead and lay down on your belly and stay there. If you're on the floor, lay on your belly and stay there. Bring your arms by your sides if you're on the floor. And then you can keep the arms by the sides or clasp your hands behind you if you're on the floor. And then once again, you're going to press into your thighs and the tops of your feet and lift your heart for a little back bend if you're on the floor. Good job. Slide the shoulder blades down. Those of you in the chair, bring the hands behind you. Maybe you're going to hold your thumb, right? Or clasp your hands. Roll the shoulders back. Slide the shoulder blades down and lift the heart up. So you're just asking your hands and arms to help you. Keep your elbows a little bent, everybody. If you're on the floor, come down and then do it again. Come down and do it again, okay? Only hold it for as long as is comfortable. Just hugging the elbows towards each other to open up the heart in the front of the shoulders just a little bit more. Inhale here. Exhale, release your back bend. Just rest for a minute. Those of you on the floor, release your hands. Put your hands under your head. Turn your head to the side. Rest on your belly if you're on the floor. Those of us in the chair, just soften in your seated position. Notice how your body feels. Hopefully it feels good after all that. Did some back bending and forward bending. I hope that felt good. Woohoo! Because I did mention that we are going to do some warriors, and that requires standing. Okay, so you have to kind of decide, especially those of you using a chair, how you're going to best use your chair to work on the standing positions. Okay, so those of you on the floor, when you're ready, you're going to place your hands under your shoulder joints, inhale and exhale, and push back to all fours. Okay, so be on all fours. Now, those of you who are on the floor, if you want, you can just step your feet up to your hands, or you can do downward facing dog and then step your feet to your hands for forward bend. Those of us who are seated in a chair, we're going to make sure the ankles are underneath the knees are hips width, and everybody's going to kind of step up, walking the feet to the hands, or if you're in a chair, stepping up. Good. Awesome. Those of you that are on the floor, you're going to gently walk your hands up your legs and come up to standing. Great job, everybody. Okay, so now it's time for warrior poses. So those of you that use a chair, we're going to stand. Now you have some options. You can stand, you can do your warrior poses with the chair in front for you to put your hands on, right? Right, if that's what works for you. Or some people might choose to have the chair next to them when they do their warriors, right? Because everybody's a little different, okay? So you have a chair, decide where's best for you to put it, okay? Same thing if you are not using a chair today, but you have balance issues, get next to a wall or grab a chair, okay? So those of you with a chair, I trust that you're going to put it where you need it for support. So let's start with warrior one. Beginning with Tadasana pose or mountain pose, feet or hips width apart. Where are your hips? I always thought my hips were here. No, it's not where they are. This is where all the other stuff is, right? But actual hip bones, if you feel the front of your hips, you can find your hip bones. Find your hip bones. And then slide into the hollow right inside those hip bones. That's basically hips width apart for your feet. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so that's approximate. If you have some balance issues, you can widen it. It's fine. Toes face forward. Now in Tadasana, we don't do this. Stand up tall. Take these thigh bones in the front and move them back a little bit, right? And then take your shoulder joints and move them back a little bit. Firm the front and back in towards the center and release the hands. So it's not here and it's not here. It's right in the center. So the thigh bones have to move back, and then the shoulder bones have to move back, and the belly has to engage just a bit. So the pelvis is nice and even. It's not tilting forward. It's not tilting back. Okay, nice and even. So the thighs have to engage. You press them back a bit. Reach up to the tops of the ears. So this is mountain pose. And this is what we always come back to. Between our poses and standing, we come back to mountain pose. So make sure you feel it in your body and it feels comfortable to you. Let's start with warrior one position. Inhale here, exhale, step your left foot back behind you. Now, if you can see my feet, you can see that my back foot is at an angle, and that's fine. I don't want both toes forward. I want my left toes turning out a little bit at an angle. And you'll notice you can see the space between my feet. So I'm not on a tightrope, right? My feet are hips width apart. Beautiful. So I'd like you to concentrate on the back leg. Place your hands on your hips and press into your back heel. Press into your back heel, feeling the knee straight, feeling this muscle squeezing. Press into the back heel. Very good. Press into the back heel. Press, press, press. And then as you're pressing into the back heel, lower the hips a little bit. Good. I don't want all the work up here, right? We want work back here. Good job. Awesome. Very good. So you're really feeling it in this back leg, right? The hips are lowering. Lift the hips back up. As you press into the back heel, lower the hips again. Good. Lift the hips back up. As you press into the back heel, lower the hips again. This is going to bend the front knee, and that's fine. Your heart faces your front leg. Take a look at your front knee. Okay? Take a look at that front knee. It should point right towards your second and third toes. So we don't want our front knee doing this or doing that, right? So see if you can get that knee straight over the ankle. The knee points to the second and third toes. These things are all very, very important for our warriors, okay? Good. Roll the shoulders back. Let's take the hands up for warrior pose. Nice. If you're near a chair or you have balance issues, you can have it right here. If you need it, hold it. If you don't, don't. Good. Very good. And then we're going to bring the hands to heart center with our warrior pose. And then we're going to lift those palms up if we can. Good. Keeping the neck nice and free. Great job. Awesomely awesome. And then we're going to bring these down, and we're going to either clasp the fingers or press one palm on the back of the other hand. Push the palms up towards the ceiling. Great. Nice job. Breathe. Inhale here and exhale. Very nice. Now we have to step the back foot forward for mountain pose. Do it slowly and purposefully. There you go. You get better at it the more you do it slowly, right? You get better at having more control. Back to mountain pose. When you're ready, inhale here. Exhale, step that right foot back. And again, we don't want to be on a tightrope. We want to have a little bit of width between our feet and turn out the back foot just a little bit, the back toes. Good. And just like we were doing before, we want to press back into the back heel. Reach back into the back heel. Reach back, nice straight leg. Then just lower the hips a little bit. Good. Inhale them back up. Keep straightening and strengthening that back leg. Exhale, lower the hips. And then once more, inhale up. Keep reaching back into that back heel as you lower the hips down. Awesome. So now take a look at your front knee. It should point towards your second and third toes. Good. Your heart should face your front leg. And then when you're ready, inhale your arms up. Warrior pose, you're going to notice a little arch in your upper back and in your lower back, and that's perfect. Let's bring the hands to heart center. So now we're going to take these hands that are in prayer position, and we are going to bring them overhead, right? Ooh, you got this, you got this. Great job. Keep that front knee over that ankle. And then release. Now we're going to press the back of one hand, or you can clasp and push and reach up. Woohoo! Push those palms up, push them up, push them up. Lower the hips as you lift the palms up. Keep reaching through the back heel. Keep the head nice and loose between the upper arms. Inhale here, exhale, release. Very carefully, Step the back foot up to the front foot. Woo. Use your balance. There we go. Gorgeous. Great job. So next we're going to work on Warrior Two. So again, those of you using a chair, make sure you put it where you feel you need it, okay? Just going to do a few moments in Warrior Two on each side. I'm going to turn side to show you Warrior Two. So from Mountain Pose, we're going to step this left foot back. Now, you'll notice that my foot is at that same angle as it was for Warrior One. Now I want to turn it. So I want to pick my toes up and turn this back foot so that the back edge of my mat is parallel to the side edge of my foot. Okay, so what this does is it turns me to the side. This turns me to the side. Again, I have enough space between my feet. I have enough space between my feet. My front heel runs through the back heel. The key with this one here is this leg needs to be in good alignment and a lot of strength through this back leg. So let's take a look at the front leg. There's a bend in the knee, and the knee should point towards your second and third toes. Now, sometimes in this pose, the knee will do this. We want to avoid that, right? Lift your heel up and widen. You want to widen this muscle here and put your heel back down so we can line up the front leg, okay? This is real important stuff. Awesome. Awesome. So now you got to look, and maybe you lifted your heel, moved it out a little to get this nice and wide. And then you're going to bring your heart up. So again, your heart is facing the side. The front of your hips are facing the long edge of your mat. So this is a lot of work through this leg. Squeeze the thigh of the back leg, right? You want to keep this stretching the inner thigh of the front leg. Great. Let's lift the arms up and lift your torso up away from your pants. Inhale here. Exhale the hands, shoulder height. Now inhale here, keep the rib cage lifting, but lower the shoulders. So keep the rib cage lifting, hug the front and back body, but lower the shoulders, soften the hands. Great job. Now, as you look over your front hand, which for you is your right hand, I want you to reach back with the left hand. Ready? Looking over the front hand, reach back with the left fingertips at the same time. This will keep your torso from leaning towards your front hand and your front knee. Great job. This is not easy stuff. Breathe. You're doing great. Inhale here. Exhale. Bring your hands to your hips. Good job. Now you're going to take your right toes in. So now both your left toes and right toes are facing the front of your body. Good. And we're going to do a little forward bending. Some of you can touch the floor. Some of you will put the seat of your chair or the back of your chair here. Inhale up and exhale, fold. So some of us can put our fingertips on the floor. Some of us have our hands on the chair. You decide what's going to work for you, okay? Bend your knees as needed. Bend your knees as needed. Just relax. Now, bend the right knee and slide the hips to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, bend the left knee, slide the hips to the left. Just a little bit of lunging. Inhale, center, both legs straighten. Exhale to the right knee bends. Inhale, center, straighten. Exhale, lunge in the other direction. Woohoo! Great job. And back to center. So now we need to bring our torso up. So bend the knees as needed, firm the belly, hands on the thighs. So your back is nice and parallel to the ground. Squeeze your hips right down towards the floor. Inhale up. Beautiful. Okay. So now we're going to do that Warrior Two with the other leg forward. So I'm going to take this left foot in, point the toes out, and this foot's parallel. Again, you want enough width between your feet so your heels can line up with each other, okay? All right, beautiful. Now remember, the chest and the hips face the side. Not like Warrior One where you face the front leg, these face the side. So think about it, this has to stretch a lot. And so does this. So this squeeze is strong, but the inner thighs have to stretch. Take a look at your front knee here. This is my left knee. I want my left knee to point towards my second and third toes. right? And sometimes it'll bow inward, right? Or be too far out. So pick up the heel and widen it a little bit and widen that inner thigh so that the knee and ankle line up. Kind of wiggle it, get it to widen a bit. Okay. Very good. So we have nice width here in this front leg. Make sure that knee over the ankle towards the second and third toes. Torso's nice and tall. Both legs are strong, right? You're only going to lower your hips as low as you can feel strength in both legs and stretching maybe in both legs. One leg straight, one knee bent. Keep widening here. Awesome. Let's inhale the arms up, lift up the rib cage away from the top of your pants, and then exhale, soften down. Just hold here. Inhale, keep lifting the ribs. Exhale, soften the shoulders. Ooh. Great job. Now I'm going to turn my head to look over my left fingertips right to where my front toe is pointing. And at the same time, I'm going to imagine reaching back behind me with the right hand. Inhale here. Exhale, look over the left shoulder and reach the right fingertips toward the right wall at the same time. Remember I mentioned that push me, pull you? Keep hugging the front and back waist. Breathe, find some softness in the shoulders. And then inhale here. Exhale, turn your head to the center, bring the arms down. Once again, you're going to turn both sets of toes forward for forward bending, okay? And you can have the seat of your chair in front of you to put your hands on, or the back of your chair if you're using a chair. Inhale up. And exhale, hinge at the hip. Bend the knees as needed, flat back. And as your hands get closer to the floor, the seat of your chair, you may feel the back round a little bit, and that's okay. Now, with your hands on the seat of the chair, come up onto your fingertips. If your hands are on the floor or on blocks, come up on the fingertips so the back is nice and long. Beautiful. So from this long position, I want you to slide your left hand under the right arm over to the right and turn your heart over to the right. So you're doing a little bit of a twist. Beautiful. The back is nice and long, okay? Inhale back to center. Both fingertips on the seat of the chair or on the floor or on your blocks. So lengthen your spine forward. Inhale here. Exhale, slide the right hand under the left and turn your heart to the left. Good. Nice job. Breathe. Great job, everybody. And inhale, both hands back to center. For those of you on the floor, walk your feet in and come down onto all fours, nice and easy. And lay on your backs. Those of you in the chair, you're going to step up to your chair and sit in your chair, okay? All right, we're at the end here. Beautiful, B-E-A, beautiful, everybody. So you're either seated in your chair or you're lying on the floor. Nice job, woo. Nice, so do whatever feels good right now. If you're in the chair and you want to do some twists with your torso, or it's something that you want to do in the chair that feels good, go ahead and do it. Same thing if you're on the floor. You can bring the knees to your chest. You can do whatever feels good to you on the floor. Bring the knees to the chest, circle a little bit. If you're in the chair, you can fold over your legs and kind of hug your legs. You can do that too, right? You can do whatever you want to do just to make yourself comfortable. And then we're going to do some guided breathing. And then we're all set, okay? All right, so if you're on the floor, make yourself comfortable for the guided breathing. You can keep your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Just knock your knees together. So widen your feet, knock your knees together. Or you can lay out nice and long if you're on the floor, if that's what you want to do. Or if you're in a chair and you have a couch nearby, you want to lay on your couch, you can do that, right? If you're in the chair, you do have to sit up tall. Those of us on the floor keeps us in neutral posture, but those of you in a chair, you just sit up nice and tall, okay? All right, so if you're seated in the chair, make sure you're sitting up towards the front of your sit bones, feet flat on the floor, nice tall spine, or maybe everybody's taken to the floor, whatever works in a lying position. So we're just gonna do some breaths, and this one is an hourglass breath. We're gonna use it to relax ourselves, okay? So just breathe normally right now. You can close your eyes if you like. So I want you to, as you're breathing softly and breathe at your natural rhythm, and I want you to visualize an hourglass, right? An hourglass. Sand moves through an hourglass, yeah? So I want you to imagine that you've turned the hourglass so that all the sand is at the top and it's starting to run through the hourglass to the bottom. Take a nice big inhale and imagine, just like the sand, your exhale is releasing your forehead, your head, your neck, your jaw down, down, down to the bottom of the hourglass. Your inhales can be soft and lifted. And your exhales, imagine they soften and release. It's as if your head, your neck, and your shoulders are just softening, just like the sand moving down, down through the hourglass. Each inhalation, open. Each exhalation, the head, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders move down through the hourglass, heavy like the sand. Inhale wide and soft. And on the next exhalation, move the shoulders, the arms, the chest down into the hips like sand, moving down to the bottom of the hourglass. Continue using this visualization. Each inhale is lifted and wide open. Each exhale is as if you're softening your body, heavy like the sand, down, down into the well of your hips, into the heaviness of your legs, and through the bottom of your feet. Each inhalation celebrates the lift and the lightness. Each exhalation, heavy and soft, relaxing. And then come back to your natural breath, soft and easy. Take a sigh. Just let your body breathe itself. We use our yoga as an act of self-inquiry to discover exactly how we feel and who we are inside. And see what is true, that we are not the harmful thoughts we think about ourselves, and we are not the mistakes that we have made, and we are not the negative opinions of others. We are courageous. We are self-empowered. We persevere. And we are not afraid to reach out to others when we need help. Make sure that you take time for yourself this week to just sit and softly breathe and relax. It's a wonderful, wonderful addition to your daily life to take that time for rest and renewal. Thank you for joining me for yoga practice today through Yoga's Club of Rochester. I honor the divine teachers within all of you. Namaste.